The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.
What time is it?
There is nobody that holds a candle to the king.
You know, I wouldn't be opposed to, maybe you build some tag teams here.
We are the absolute best tag team of all time, bar none, the greatest tag team of all time.
Jay White's going to be a star, no matter where he goes.
I'm going to be the guy that spits in the face of cliches. I'm going to be the guy that tells time to off.
Man, what in the world is Joe doing? Just standing. And then I thought to myself, maybe he just likes Jericho's music as much as I do.
Bobby Fish, you made your debut tonight. It was a huge surprise for the NXT Universe. It was a hard-fought loss, but what can the NXT Universe expect from you moving forward?
Yeah, Kayla, this was my debut tonight, and things did not go the way I had planned. But the fact is Bobby Fish, the one thing I am not is I am not a quitter. Kayla, I will be back in that ring, and if there's anybody who wants to know what I'm about, see me in that ring, and you will find out exactly who I am.
Ladies and gentlemen, wrestling to the max.
And your hosts, Gary Vaughan, Sean Garmer, and Paul Leazar.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Wrestling to the Max, episode 255, part 2. And of course, we are brought to you by W2Mnet.com, as well as 411mania.com. Hey, and if you love all the great content that you get over there, make sure you go subscribe and rate and review over there at the W2M Network. And of course, if you just love this show and you just want to find out everything that we have to offer, especially our review shows and anything else that we give out, make sure you go subscribe, rate, and review at Wrestling to the Max, wherever podcasts are found. Also, don't forget YouTube. That's another place to go subscribe. So trust me, we are everywhere, including, Facebook. We have a Facebook group called Wrestling to the Max. Just go over there, add yourself in, and you are going to get a lot of great written content, lots of great discussions going on over there. So we are, just happy to be on almost every platform that you can find. And of course, we, do that for not only you, but for everyone that wants to get more information about wrestling. So while we do this show, it's while we want to get that community going and ready to, for yourself. Of course, I am your host, Gary Vaughan. Along with me is Mr. Paul Leazar.
Heyo.
And tonight, not with us, is Mr. Sean Garmer. He is actually out this week. He is on assignment doing some soccer podcasts. They're very important because there's a special tournament going on, and he's covering that full. So we had to let him take a break and do some other work. That's just totally fine. He's a big deal when it comes to that because he pretty much controls everything on that platform, and that's great. We're hoping he can do all his work and focus on that because it's really important. And W2Mnet.com, of course, thanks him for that as well. So no problem giving the night off, and me and Paul will take you down a journey called some big news. That's right. We are going to be talking about some lists. We have the full list of the Mae Young competitors, as well as the Battle of Los Angeles competitors for the PWG. Don't worry, we are going to get all that plus a lot more, including some more El Patron and Paige stuff. Wow, I mean, it just keeps getting crazier and messier as it goes. So lots of cool content to talk about when it comes to news. We're also going to talk some Lucha Underground from this week and Impact Wrestling. Plus, we're crowning a Superstar of the Week. My God, Paul, we've got so much to get through. I'm really excited about it. I hope you are too, man.
I'm pumped, man. You and me, we always have a good time whenever Sean leaves us to our own devices, and honestly, I'm surprised we haven't set this place on fire.
Who said it's not already?
Yeah, that's true.
Letting the Mad Hatter go crazy, and oh boy, it's going to be a lot of fun, even though we do miss him. I really, it sucks sometimes because, this podcast just works so well with the three of us. And sometimes, I'm gone, you're gone sometimes, Paul. We all have to take our time off, and that's cool. But it is true. When me and you get together, sometimes it can get a little crazy, so it'll be fun. Before we jump into wrestling, we know we have a lot of wrestling to talk about, but I've got to ask you, and I didn't talk about this on our Monday show, but I wanted to throw it out there. I went and saw Spider-Man Homecoming. Did you go check it out?
Oh, I haven't seen it yet, and I'm so jealous of you because I've heard nothing but spectacular, wonderful, amazing things about this movie.
Okay, see, I am completely shocked because usually, Paul, you're the guy out there at the theater. I'm the one jealous of you. So I got to say, though, I took my wife. It was a double date. Friends of mine wanted to go, and for a birthday present, they bought my tickets, which was very sweet.
Very nice of them.
So, yeah, very nice. And so we went out and had a little date, and it was good. Really enjoyed the film. My wife liked it, too, which, she's not really huge into comic books or anything, but she enjoys those type of movies, and so she thoroughly enjoyed it for the casting. She loved the fact that it was all young people. It wasn't like, a 20-something-year-old playing a high school student. She really appreciated that. The action was great. The jokes were funny. So I think it was really cool. I thought it was great. I think it would have been a perfect movie for her. She hates the whole Iron Man thing. She can't stand his arrogance. And I'm like, that's okay to me. But the whole time she goes, I hate him.
Hurts me. Iron Man's one of my favorite characters since I've been a kid. Same with Spider-Man. I grew up not only on the comics, but Spider-Man had this amazing animated series on Fox Kids way back in the day. I'm dating myself entirely here. In the early 90s. Which was just phenomenal, and just it draws you in. Like a lot of the early '90s Marvel stuff, of course, is just legendary at this point. But man, I'm jealous, Gary. I can't wait to see it. Me and my friends are talking about going Sunday, but I don't know if that's going to happen.
Yeah, well, whatever you do, go check it out. Even if your friends don't get together and you just got to go yourself, do it. I mean, it's just so much fun. Yeah, and if just no one will go with you, call me. We'll go because the movie's great, and I'm encouraging other people. I know I don't need to do that. Marvel's already made millions and millions of dollars, but if you just need that extra oomph to go, hey, I'm telling you, it's worth your time. It's a lot of fun, and you get if you're a big Spider-Man fan like Paul, you get to see a lot more than you expected. They reveal a lot more characters than I ever thought they would, and it's very subtle. But they get it out there. So go check that movie out. Just want to throw that out there. I'm really excited about Spider-Man. But anyway, okay, well, let's go ahead and jump into this wrestling discussion that we have to get into, and a lot of them to be in fact. So we're going to stop by and talk some quick hits right after this, guys.
It's time for wrestling news. Quick hits.
Take it away, Gary.
All right, let's start this thing off hot by talking about the Mae Young Classic. And this is something we've been talking about every single podcast because they've been announcing competitors. There's been lots of news behind it. Who's going to call the action? What's going to be? When are the dates? How are they going to do it? We've given you all that background information. And if you need more of it, well, trust me, WB.com. Of course, WB themselves, when you're watching the television programs, Raw, SmackDown, all the other content, they're going to be shoving it in your face. So you really don't need us to do it anymore. But what we do want to let you guys know is that they did recently reveal all the different competitors that are going to be a part of this Mae Young Classic. In fact, they did kind of like they did with the CWC, they kind of did a parade. And they basically showcased each talent, let them wave, talk about where they're from, things like that, which is really, really cool. But, they don't give you everything. They don't give you all the details. They just kind of give you a quick glimpse of who's going to be a part of this. So that's where we're going to come into play, Paul. We're going to kind of go down this list of competitors, maybe give you a little bit of background information. Maybe if you didn't check out our shows, Paul will kind of give you a few little tidbits about each one and kind of talk about them. So let's go ahead and start, Paul. Let's go ahead and get down this list and get into what's going on.
Yeah. First, did you watch the parade, Gary, at all?
I did not. I wanted to, and I should have watched it before we even started the show. I just wanted to get on and get going. I was too excited. I love the CWC one. Was it just as good?
It was just as good, in my opinion. I really kind of wanted to talk to you, and if you had watched it, pick your brain, because they have, of course, the commentators doing all the introductions, and it's JR and Lita, and they're going to add a third for the specials, which we'll talk about after we're done going through all the competitors, but I kind of wanted, because I think you get a little bit of an early feel of how their chemistry is going to work, and to me, it already kind of feels like JR and Josh from the G1 specials, and that it's just two friends out there calling wrestling, which is kind of nice, and obviously makes it very relatable, but we saw how that G1 special sort of went down. Again, this is a different production team, of course, entirely controlling this, so I'm sure this will go much better for JR and Lita, but I just kind of want to get your thoughts.
Well, I mean, you're talking about that, and I don't mean to pause and get off the subject, but I was really interested in that, and I didn't realize they were going to get into that. And, you know, I'm really kind of curious how much background information that they're going to get from the WB, and I think they're going to get a lot, right?
Yeah.
You know, on JR's podcast this last week, he actually kind of got on and talked about all this, about the G1, and he didn't exactly come out and make excuses, but he let you know a little bit of information on what happened at the G1, and he kind of talked about the fact that really New Japan really never told him anything about the wrestlers, about the storylines, about anything. He was kind of depending on some of the people that were around him at Access TV who provided all the information, and they didn't provide everything. So I think JR, it's a little bit of a surprise to me. I thought, you know, a guy like him, that's his full-time job, that he would get all the background information, even if he did the homework himself, which is kind of funny that he did not. And especially with New Japan, which he's been basically covering forever now. It's like a year and a half, 2 years he's been doing it for Access TV.
Something like that.
Yeah, so he's got some background information for himself a little bit by covering this stuff with Josh Barnett, but at the same point, he is not up to date, which I get. He doesn't get a chance to do all that, but I'm hopeful that in this instance that him and Lita both have taken the time to really study them, study all the ladies, and really understand what they're about, where they're from, all that information. I'm hoping that this is just an early prelude to the fact that they just now got to sit down with those ladies and talk. You know what I mean? I hope. I'm a little bit nervous because if you're telling me this could be the G1 all over again, that's scary. This could be a little, you know, because I really wanted to learn a lot about them. I don't know about you, and you know a little bit more than I do. I'm going to come into this learning a lot.
Yeah, and if you're not necessarily into the women's wrestling independent scene, not only here in the States, but of course abroad, and even though it all sort of ties into each other, then you might be kind of lost on some of these people. And I would say most of these people, for sure, and even if you are, there's some NXT folks sprinkled in here that very few people have ever seen live, so you're going to be lost on them too. But like I said, I just think the feel of, like I mentioned whenever we covered the G1 specials, where it felt like Josh was just trying to out there to be a friend with JR, and there happened to be some phenomenal wrestling going on in front of their faces that they were calling. But during the intros, for sure, I mean, you get that same feeling. Lita knows the NXT folks a little bit better, obviously. She used to work back there during at least the Four Horsewomen days, and a little bit past that before I don't think she does that anymore. So she might have a lot more experience with those folks, for sure, and all that. But like I said, it's like two friends out there calling it, and it's the parade. They give you plenty of information. I don't want to take away from that. It's just, if that feeling is there that this could be that same situation over again.
Are you surprised that they didn't choose someone other than Lita? I know Lita's a big name, right? I mean, duh. I mean, that's going to get people to tune in general. But I'm a little bit surprised maybe they didn't go find a third person on that panel in commentary that may not have been the big name, but may have known a lot about him. Let's just say Sarah Del Rey, right? What if she came in there and sat down with him and, you know, maybe not a big mouthpiece, but maybe she could be the one, kind of like a Nigel McGuinness, fill in the holes, right?
I think she would have been a perfect role for this, not only because she knows all the NXT folks, because she's training them, but she's wrestled at least half this field before she took the job with WWE. So It's nobody better, in my opinion, for sure. And I don't have a problem necessarily with Lita or the third person they're going to add to, because what WWE is going for, and especially if you've already read spoilers, and even if you haven't, I think you already got the feeling that they're trying really, really hard to make sure they are all in on this women's thing, even so much as, having legends around this. There's already been reports that Ronda Rousey was in the crowd and backstage during the first taping today, and there's also been a lot of reports that a lot of main roster people are down there at the show today. So, and of course there's husbands and there's marital relationships and boyfriend-girlfriend relationships all tied into this with people who work for the WWE already and people who are in this tournament, and it gets a little messy here and there, and I'll try to fill you in as best I can, but there's just, they want this to feel really important, and I read spoilers personally, so and I'm not going to give anything away, but just reading it feels big, right? I mean, they want this to be a landmark occasion, and it feels like it with all, you have these big legends, and you have this great new talent that's coming in, and like this is really, I would say, the most coverage they've probably ever given to any sort of women's event ever, at least in the WWE for sure. I would even say even in sports almost, just because I don't think there's anything really like this that gets the sort of coverage that at least WWE gives themselves and have started to get on ESPN and stuff like that,
Yeah, wow, and that's really cool. And it makes me really happy to hear that, because to be honest with you, there's a reason why I think a lot of times we have not seen more of the women as a bigger part of the shows, and it's because, well, guys like Vince McMahon are a little bit old school, right? And hey, I mean, you got to get it. The guy's, is he almost 70 if he's not 70 already? And I mean, he's from a different time period, and it wasn't about that. They thought, the money's not made there. And so you get that, and you kind of understand it. But I think a lot of the new faces, a lot of the new people coming underneath Vince McMahon and other places have understood it's a new time, and there is a need and a want to see that content, and there's a lot of great talent that people are missing out on because there's just not enough spots. So as we've seen in NXT, as we've seen on the main roster, that number has built up and grown when it comes to adding the female superstars. And I think a tournament like this, and the fact that, like you're saying to me, you're telling me that they're making this a big deal by adding a lot of big faces in the crowd, making this something super special. It means the world, and it also shows the respect that they're going to give, hopefully, to these competitors and the opportunities that they could possibly get out of this, right? So, I mean, it's really cool that it's a big deal, and even if some of these people will, come into this, and some of these young ladies are not signed by WB after this tournament, I think just by being a part of it could propel their careers and really do some great things, if the indie circuit or, in any other place. I mean, trust me, when they get out there and don't make it here, their indie money just went up.
Right. Yeah,
quite
absolutely.
a bit, so that's the cool thing for them, and I'm really happy to see this. And so, as we watch it, I think, we'll have that hopeful feel of, Jim Ross and Lita going through all this and having a good time. I'm just hoping that, them missing a few things here or there doesn't kind of taint something great, right?
Right.
That's the only thing I'm worried about. Hopefully none of these young ladies have stuffed animals. That that could be a problem, especially if Jim Ross has no idea about them. So we'll see, though. This is kind of exciting to hear. I want to see this parade now.
Yeah, for sure, and it's absolutely worth your time. It's on their Facebook page. I'm sure it's on YouTube at this point. It's super easy to find. And when it does come time to cover it, once this goes live on, they're going to do a bracketology episode on the 20th, and then the weeks afterwards they'll start releasing the episodes in four-piece chunks before we get to the live specials. I think currently, at least as far as W2M Net coverage goes on our end, it'll be me, Patrick, and Harry from Wrestling Unwrapped covering this. I think Sean might sit in on a couple of them too. Gary, you're obviously more than welcome too, but I guess a quick production note there before we dive into all these names here, which is the best part. Dakota Kai is the first one on the list here. I'm going to go exactly how they introduced him on the parade here, who is Evie from New Zealand. Big indie name, not only here in the States, but internationally. She's done Stardom, she's done Shimmer, she's done all of Australia, she's done everything. She's one of my favorites in this tournament personally. She's a phenomenal wrestler. She's a great striker, and she's just so easy to get behind. Her in-ring personality, her charisma, it's just so very infectious that you can't really help but sort of fall in love with her and would just want to see her beat the shit out of somebody. It's great.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, you hear nothing but good things about her, and Jim Ross and the three people that we were talking about on commentary, they really put her over pretty well, and just by the interview that she gave, and she's going by Dakota Kai, right? I mean, this is
correct.
Yeah, so, I mean, you look for her. I mean, that is Evie, if someone may be listening to this and, want to know her name.
NXT name, so she has signed the contract.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. And then second up is Serena Deeb, who we're all familiar with if you were watching WWE 5-6 years ago, because this is Serena from the Straight Edge Society. Obviously, she has the WWE pedigree, sort of filling in that Tajiri Brian Kendrick role in this, if you ask me. Of being a veteran who's been around and is back to sort of prove that she still has it, and she absolutely does. She's a phenomenal wrestler. She never really got a lot of opportunities when she was here the first time around, and even before she signed the first time around. In Shimmer, she was always such a treat to watch. She's a great wrestler. So I'm really looking forward to seeing her cut loose this go around.
Yeah, cool to see her come back too, right? I mean, it's been a while.
Yeah, I think. Oh God, what's it been? 5 years?
I thought the last time that the Straight Edge Society was around, wasn't that 2012? Or
I think so.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, feeling old. After her is Vanessa Bourne, who me and Gary just talked about her winning her qualifying match on NXT this week. So go check that out there. But she's a former cheerleader. She's trained by Gangrel and Rikishi before she got signed to the WWE, so some of that pedigree is there. She's only been wrestling for a year, though, so she's still going to be a little rough around the edges. I don't know what to expect from her. Obviously, we only seen a little 2-minute window of her, and it wasn't all that enlightening, but green definitely probably still going to be the definition for her.
Yeah, that's going to be kind of interesting. I mean, like you said, we saw it in NXT. Not a lot to be known here, but someone to definitely pay attention to.
Yeah, for sure. And then after her is Xia Li, who is from one of the Chinese signees. Nobody, at least as far as I've seen, has seen her. And she also has, I forget what her name was before this, but this is her actual NXT name. So I assume she's going to be on NXT going forward after this. She comes in with some fans and stuff like that, and they mention her liking to kick. So seems already a little racist to me, but
oh, wow. Hey, no, that's okay. I get it. Maybe she can join the Oscar party, right?
Right. Following her is Rachel Evers, who is Rachel Ellering, who of course is Paul Ellering's daughter. Phenomenal wrestler. She does intergender wrestling too sometimes that I've seen. Chiefly, at least as far as what relates to me and Gary, she's the women's champion for Wrestle Circus out in Austin. Huge crowd favorite there. Huge crowd favorite really anywhere she goes. She's done some Women of Honor stuff. She's just a terrific wrestler. Still interesting that she's not using her last name, obviously, if they do decide to sign her. And she's very adamant on Twitter on off, like more than at least once a week it feels like now, where she says she's still a free agent. She hasn't signed a deal or anything like that. I don't know. She's worked NXT before. She could be somebody that signs. She's somebody they should try to sign. But I'm really I think she could go deep in this, honestly. She's phenomenal, and she's got the pedigree, and WWE loves all that.
Exactly, and someone that just the personality, just exuberant, and I think, like you said, the perfect package for what NXT is doing, WWE is doing in general. So I think you're right. Going deep in this bracket, in this tournament, I definitely something I'm expecting as well. Plus, I still can't figure out the name thing. I get it, though, and they kind of talked a little bit about the fact that she's going to do her own thing, not leaning on Daddy's image anymore. It's just going to be herself. That's who she's leaning on, and I respect that.
I also don't think if she does sign, I don't think they want to associate her with that entire act that Paul's got going on with the Authors of Pain. She's her own person and all this other stuff, so respect there, too, yeah. After her, Sage Beckett, who is formerly Andrea from Shine, where I've mostly seen her work. But she's done other stuff. She retired for a few years. She lost some weight. She decided to come back to wrestling, after which she signed with WWE and NXT. So this is her NXT name. This is her big debut for them, because I don't think she's been on NXT TV yet. But she's a bigger lady. She's a powerhouse. She likes to throw hands. She likes to slam you around. And we're... Already, I think it's important to see that it's not only about looks anymore, because we're only, 6? This is 6. Andrea is bigger. We're already talking about different sizes, different nationalities. Very, very cool already.
Yeah, and that is great, and that's really something that they need to do, and get some more diversity going. And this is once again something they've done. We've seen it with Nia Jax. I think adding some more talent like that kind of makes it more well-rounded, and completely happy with that. Is Brackett? I mean, this is maybe I'm confused. One of the other ladies is actually from the Dudleys training. Is this not her?
I can't remember if that is her or not.
Rosie Lot of Love, I thought, because I thought she found out she had some kind of sickness or something like that caused her weight problem, and then she started losing weight. I thought it was, but maybe I'm wrong. But I thought that was her.
No, you're right. That's her.
Okay, making sure. So yeah, it's kind of cool coming out of the Dudley's training. That's really neat.
Yeah, for sure. And we've seen. I think Rachel Ellering spent some time up there with him too, if I remember correctly. But after her is Kaylee Ray. Kaylee Ray is from Scotland, big time worker for ICW, Progress. Anywhere up there that's doing women's wrestling, she's usually involved. She's done Stardom more often than not, and she's of course worked Shimmer and that whole circuit over here in the States as well. She another terrific wrestler, somebody else who I am really pulling for to do well in this tournament. Assuming she's keeping her name here, I don't believe she's signed a deal or anything like that as of yet. But somebody who, even if she only gets 8 to 10 minutes in the ring, I think she's really going to wow people for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm excited about seeing what she does.
And then after her is Tessa Blanchard. I don't know if I really need to say anything after that, but Tessa Blanchard, current Shimmer Tag Team Champion. She does a lot of Northeastern work, but she, of course, makes the rounds as well. I believe she's also done Stardom. And obviously her father's Tully, her stepfather's Magnum TA. She's got wrestling in her blood. She was born for this tournament. She really should have been in NXT by now, by my estimation. But if she's enjoying what she's doing on the indies, more power to her. But I really hope she signs the deal. She was made for NXT and WWE. No doubt about it.
Very much like Rachel Evers. Mm-hmm. Both, honestly, should have been there yesterday.
Yeah. And then after her, they bring on the current Progress Women's Champion. Big person in Stardom too. Toni Storm's the SWA World Champion over there for him. She, I don't really know what I could say about her either. She might be one of the very best wrestlers in this tournament, and that's saying a lot. Great. She's just great all the way around. Great performer. Great microphone work. Great. Just great. She might be somebody who could go deep in this too. Just as a sort of show of good faith to, sort of Progress and really anywhere else WWE might be interested in working with abroad now, because that's something you have to take in consideration now.
Yeah, that's true. And never seen her, don't know much about it. I'll make a note that your praise.
Yeah, if you've never seen her, you are in for a treat, Gary. She's phenomenal. Next up after her is Marty Bell, who we all have some experience with on this show because she was part of the Dollhouse and Impact Wrestling. She's been in OVW. She's been in pretty much everywhere else I've listed too, except for Stardom. I don't think she's done that. I'm not a huge fan of her work personally. I think she could do well in NXT, though, because she does do characters very well. I just don't think the wrestling's really there.
Yeah, I'm with you. I just was never super impressed. But, maybe a change of scenery will help.
Yeah, absolutely. And then after her is another product of the Performance Center, Lacey Evans, former Marine. She served in the SWAT team over there, which I can only imagine how absolutely triple tough this lady must be. She's very tall, she's very pretty too, but she's she's very like picturesque. Almost doesn't feel like it does it. You know, an image of her justice. But I'm really looking forward to seeing her work. Honestly, I think I can't remember if she's the one that's been teased on NXT TV recently or not either. Yeah, it is her. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she's had a few matches in NXT, and we've seen her work pretty well. I don't think she's won a lot of matches in NXT, if my memory serves me right, but definitely heard the story, seen what she can do, and I think someone that could do pretty well in the tournament.
Yeah, I think somebody that could go far too. WWE certainly seems high on her too, for sure. And then after her is somebody else who really doesn't need an introduction from me either, Santana Garrett. You name a women's title that exists, she's probably won it by now.
That's great. I love that introduction. If there's a title, she's probably had it.
Yeah.
That's great. Now, you know what? Another one of the names that should have been signed to NXT yesterday. Never understood why not. Maybe this is a personal preference. We've seen her everywhere. I mean, I think Impact's been a regular, person for them, and edged everywhere. So yes, I think definitely a great competitor. I can't wait to see.
Yeah, she's one that does a lot of work in Florida too, especially with Shine. She's done Impact before. I think she's the current Women of Wrestling champion out there in California. There was a time where she held like 6 championships at the same time after she got released from Impact a couple years ago. Just insane what she's been able to do, and she's a fantastic wrestler too. So. After her is Nicole Savoy, who just recently lost the Heart of Shimmer Championship, spoilers, on the Volume tapings this past weekend. She's a terrific talent, too. She's tall, she likes to kick. I think she's got a lot of in-ring charisma. I don't know if everybody would say the same. She's still kind of young in her career, though, but she's somebody I wouldn't sleep on in this tournament either.
Yeah, kicking's never bad too. So
That's
if
true.
she wants to join that kicking party, we'll have to maybe thought that their own faction.
And then next up after her is Aisha Raymond, who I'm having trouble picturing right now. But she's another NXT product who I haven't seen a whole lot of. And same for the person after her, Reina Gonzalez, who is the daughter of somebody who used to work in Texas a lot by the name of Ricky Gonzalez, who I tried to find information for because I thought the name sounded familiar, but couldn't really find a whole lot to go on. But she's another legacy. She's also one that's been strictly a WWE Performance Center NXT build as well. So, and then after is the reason why Ronda Rousey is there, and same for the rest of the 4 horsewomen of MMA, is Shayna Baszler, current AIW Women's Champion, Shimmer, Stardom, all the big places she's been to. She's made a lot of news, a lot of waves, and I don't want to say she's sort of the Matt Riddle for women's pro wrestling right now, but she kind of is. Like, she's somebody who's taken to it very well, and maybe not so well as Matt has, because that's just like once in a lifetime sort of deal right there, but she's very, very good, and somebody who I wager WWE is hanging their hat on for sure, especially if they're bringing Ronda in.
Oh yeah, that's definitely a big deal, and they're going to keep that in their name. The one of the ones they're going to keep a big focus on throughout this tournament. Because of not only the name power that Ronda Rousey brings, but also for the fact that she has been around and been a big deal, and one of the 4 horsemen of MMA.
Yeah, absolutely. And then after her is Piper Niven, better known as Viper from England. Long-time worker for Stardom. She obviously was involved in all the ITV World of Sport revival stuff that didn't take off. She does some other stuff around England as well, I'm sure, but mostly Stardom is what she's famous for. Another bigger lady, another very talented lady, surprisingly agile, I think, for how big she is, too. And she doesn't have the charisma, but certainly, at least as far as she works, like, there's a lot of Kevin Owens in there, which is kind of cool.
Oh, that is neat. Now I'm even more interested because you and Sean have definitely talked her up pretty well. So now I got to watch her.
Yeah, she's great. And then after her is Zeta, who is another signee from China. Less racist presentation for her, but she very babyface in personality and appearance and all that. So, and then after her is somebody who WWE certainly seems high on. That's Rhea Ripley, the 20-year-old Australian from multi-time Riot City Women's Champion over there. I don't think she's done a lot of stuff stateside, though. So I haven't seen a ton of her. I'm very interested, though. Like, these young prodigies WWE keeps finding always seem to do really great.
Yeah, exactly. And, I've heard the name, and I think it's simply because it's been circulating around that, she might be joining up with the Mae Young Classic. So, another great name, to join all the other Australians in NXT.
Right. And then after her is another Performance Center product, and Kavita Devi, who's from India. I think she has a great look personally. She's another one who's kind of tall and interested to see what she can do. And then after that is Sarah Logan, who gets a big pop from the crowd. This is, of course, the formerly known Crazy Mary Dobson, now working the sort of Briscoe Brothers gimmick in a way. So I wager she could probably go pretty deep in this just because she is signed, she has some name value, and it's somebody that the Performance Center crowd knows very well.
Yeah, definitely interested in another one because a great character, right? So that's why I'm interested in seeing her.
Yeah, and then after her is Bianca Belair, who also she won a qualifying match that is up on WWE's YouTube page still, I believe. Former sports All-American athlete, that whole thing that WWE loves so much from Tennessee, if I remember correctly. She's one that has already a pretty good gimmick package around her. She has very long hair, and she likes to use that to whip people. Her first match wasn't really all that awful for somebody who I'd never seen before and who's probably still pretty green. So looking forward to see what she can do. And then after that's Abby Lath, better known as Kimberly. Another one that probably doesn't need introduction. Former Chikara Grand Champion. She's won pretty much every tag team championship with Cherry Bomb, who's now in GFW now, obviously. And man, I'm really stoked to see how far they let Kimberly go. She might be one who you could say could win this.
Yeah, and see, another name that I'm not super familiar with, but you and Sean both have really talked her up, and, the accolades are, never ending. So this is, something that I'm really excited about seeing how far she actually goes.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. And it's somebody who, like I said, could win this just because she's been on NXT TV. She has the pedigree. She has the history with the business. She's such a great wrestler. Intergender stuff, like, she just knows how to work, I think. So, and then speaking of somebody who knows how to work, everybody's favorite women's wrestler, it seems like Candice LeRae, Mrs. Johnny Wrestling, of course, is Johnny Gargano's wife. Phenomenal wrestler. She's PWG. And since, the intergender thing kicked off, she's really spearheaded that. Shimmer, anywhere there's wrestling, honestly. She's been in Japan for DDT. Literally one of the biggest names on the circuit. They probably could have gotten to do this. If she signs with WWE, that'd be wonderful. She's a great character, too. And I'm just so stoked to see her in this, too. She's phenomenal. And then after her is Mia Yim, who you know as well from also being in the Dollhouse. She was Jade on Impact, Shine, Shimmer. I don't know how many times I'm going to have to list that promotion. If you're not watching that, you're not really watching women's wrestling in the States, it seems like. She's one that's wrestled everywhere else in the States, too. She's done tours in Japan, former Shine champion. Just a phenomenal talent. Somebody who really WWE should be considering and pushing to, giving her the contract every time she comes back through the curtain. Just she's phenomenal.
Yeah, definitely. And, I know it was one of your favorites over there on Impact, right? Yeah. So, and I think she's really good. And I'm once again, someone that fits in this group who has lots of experience. And we've actually seen her stateside. So that's good news for people that do watch, other promotions besides WB, excuse me.
Right. And then after her is Miranda Salenza, who's another Performance Center product, as is Renee Michelle. Both two who I'm also having trouble remembering. And then after them is Princesa Sugiet from CMLL, longtime veteran in Lucha Libre. Lita was super stoked to see her. Obviously, Lita's also had a history with Lucha Libre in her early part of her career. And, boy, she... somebody who I'm interested in seeing trying to blend in this, because she, style-wise, at least sort of sticks out from a lot of these girls.
And really cool to have someone that has a lucha background, someone who does, like you said, has a little bit of something special compared to, I think, a lot of what you've already mentioned in this tournament. So that's good news.
And then after that is another absolute phenom of women's wrestling, Mercedes Martinez, who just recently came back out of retirement. She's the current Shimmer champion. She's a former Women's Superstar Uncensored champion. I probably take me forever to try to list off all her accomplishments too, but suplexes, kicks, Mercedes is just a badass in the ring. I can't wait for people to get familiar with her. She's so great.
Definitely, and as someone who's been doing this a super long time, 36 years old, from my understanding. Yeah. And it's crazy to think, but it's super awesome that she's getting this opportunity at that age. You know, you'd think maybe WWE would cut the time or the age limit off. No, they're letting everybody get involved in this, so that's great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Mercedes is one of the biggest names, of course, out there that they could have gotten to. Short of Lufisto, I think, who's really the last big name that they didn't get for this, but... After Mercedes is Jazzy Gabbert, who used to be known, of course, as Alpha Female. I believe that's her NXT name, so I would assume that Alpha has signed. But she's done MMA. She's wrestled a lot in Europe. She had a very, very short stint with Impact Wrestling. Another powerhouse wrestler, too. Bigger, stronger. She's really great. She knows how to work that role to perfection.
Yeah, sounds awesome.
Yeah. Sorry, I had to take a breath there because we're almost done here. Two more. Second to last here is Tanera Conti from Brazil, who another one who's very good looking. I think she had a jiu-jitsu background, if I remember correctly, but she's another product for the Performance Center. And then last, and certainly not least, and the person who definitely got the loudest pop from the crowd, Kairi Sane, of course, better known as Kairi Hojo from Stardom. Won practically everything there was in Stardom except for, I think, the World Championship over there. Been the number 2 in that promotion for a long, long time, looking to try to get out on her own, out of Io Shirai's shadow. And I think a lot of people have her tipped to win this entire tournament for sure. Phenomenal wrestler, great striker, one of the most brutal top rope elbows you'll ever see in the business. Just... really excited, and people are already saying she might be the heir apparent to Asuka whenever she gets called up, which is huge, huge expectations.
Oh, yeah, that's true. And, I've always kind of rumored that, that one of these Japanese young ladies coming in to kind of take over what Asuka's doing. Not only that, but for the fact that, really Asuka's been out there on her own, just taking care of business, and no one's at that level. So maybe it is from this tournament, someone that comes out and does just that. That's what's kind of cool about all of this, and I think she could be the one for sure. I'm right there with you. So, but yeah, I mean that's the entire list, Paul. I mean that's everybody. I mean I know you need a big swig of water after that entire thing, man. Thank you for doing that. That's a lot of great information. And now, if you are uninformed, you didn't listen. So go back and rewind and listen to everything again, because Paul just laid it out for you. You know, it's a little bit more information about these people, and you kind of have some insights now on where they're from and some of the people that you need to be looking out for. And I got a lot of notes myself written down now because Paul just kind of informed me about some people that I'm just not sure of. So it should make the Mae Young Classic a lot more fun. And people, if you're listening to us tonight and you're just like, guys, what the heck? I'm not even planning on watching this. I don't know why you're not. I don't understand why. It just makes no sense to me. If you're a fan of wrestling, you care about wrestling, it's something you do on a normal basis. You listen to podcasts like this one. It makes no sense for yourself not to sit down and give it the time. They're going to go ahead and put them out there for you guys. They're going to give you 4 episodes on demand, so you can watch them whenever you have time. You can watch one match, when you have time, and the second match whenever you have time. They're going to give it to you, basically the most convenient you can ever get it. So trust me, it's going to be a lot of fun. I bet you guys will be out there basically watching one after another because it's going to be a lot of fun. And you're watching the superstars of tomorrow. You're seeing the people that are eventually going to be mixing it up with people like Charlotte, Bayley, Sasha Banks. These are the kind of people that you're going to be seeing in that main roster picture eventually. So go ahead and tune in. Get the chance to see these people early early. So saying all that, I just want to throw out there that we do know a little bit more information. On August 20th, you're going to get the bracketology, and you're going to get to find out who's facing who, how this whole thing is going to kind of work out, and that's what's awesome. And they're going to have a WWE Network special over that, which is definitely needed. And the person that's going to be pretty much doing that is Medusa. That's right, the Hall of Famer. Of course, Alundra Blaze is her WWE name, but I know a lot of us, like myself, knowing her from WCW, I just got to stick with Medusa as a name. Mm-hmm. But she'll be there, and she'll be breaking this thing down. And she's going to be the third person with Jim Ross and Lita. And she may not always be at the commentary booth, but we do know that she's going to be doing a lot of the interviews, mm-hmm. and is going to be a big part of what this whole Mae Young Classic is going to be about. And which is great. Like I said last week, we kind of talked about it. I think she's got the personality, someone that can really entertain the crowd and really, honestly, I think get the information out of a lot of these young superstars that they're going to, maybe not tell other people. I think she can pull that out of them, which is really, really cool. So I think this is great.
Yeah, Medusa or Alundra Blaze, however you want to address her, call her as. Another one who knows what all these women have been through. She's world-traveled. She's been in their position before where she's tried to prove that women's wrestling is something worth watching, and certainly her work with Bull Nakano is legendary at this point. But I agree with you entirely too, Gary. Such a great character. Even when she was only just managing in WCW before she got to WWE, she was such somebody you had to watch. Her running around with the Dangerous Alliance and everything like that. So I think it's really, really cool. I don't know how well her on commentary is going to go. Everything else, though, I'm really psyched for. And, of course, the bracketology episode for the CWC was really great, especially for people who are, like, performance center built. You get to learn a lot of their stories, which is always nice to sort of have a reason to get invested in them past, they're here trying to make something happen.
Yeah. Definitely. And, Paul, the thing here is that, you mentioned before, they named a lot of faces, and there's going to be a lot of people in the crowd. Mm-hmm. Someone like, Lita and Alundra Blaze, they're people that, really honestly showcase not only women's wrestling, but also give you names to kind of find a way to tune in. And I haven't seen them forever. I want to go check them out and just see what they have to say. And so that's what's cool about this. And I'm really hoping that they even add some more. Maybe some cameos of some other, even, I don't know if even people like on the main roster, even now, Charlotte or somebody else pops in, makes an appearance, maybe even you have some other, legends like Trish Stratus or somebody else pop in. I think it'd be great. I think it'd be something that would really help this to keep people's eyes on it, even though it should be the main part of it. But I think it'd be a nice treat, if I can say it that way, right?
Yeah, I don't know if there was reports going around that Trish wasn't here at the tapings this week, but I think her being there for the live specials might not be out of the question yet. But she did just have a baby this year, so maybe not wanting to leave that behind. But certainly, main roster people would be super easy to do, obviously, because you just got to tell them to show up here at this time and go watch some wrestling. I'm sure they're down for that. And, even international people who WWE have had a history with, somebody like a Bull Nakano, would just be super awesome to see in the audience or show up and do a ring intro or just, standing outside the building. I don't care. But Bull Nakano on my TV screen is something I'd love to see.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll have to keep tuned in, right? And kind of watching and seeing what they're going to do. I think the more, that we get into this and the sooner it gets to being time to watch this tournament, we're going to get more information, and it's going to be a blast. I'm really looking forward to it. So like us, stay tuned to all that.
Yeah.
Let's move on, though. We got a lot of other news to talk about tonight, and I'm really kind of curious about some of your thoughts about this controversy we've been talking about, especially since Monday when it all kind of broke down, and we really had to get on this on our first part one of this week's episode. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about Paige and El Patron. And, if you had not heard, I'm sure you have now, but we'll just really quickly mention it. Paige and Patron Orlando Airport over the last week. They got in a domestic dispute. Big deal. Someone caught some audio. You can go check that audio out on YouTube or wherever you want to go find it. TMZ is actually the ones that kind of put it out there. And it seems like, they were having a pretty big dispute between each other. There's been some allegations that there was some physicality involved. Really no clear victim or, perpetrator. But it's kind of up in the air as we are concerned. We really don't know. It's all allegations. Who knows who? But all we know is it was not a pretty scene. We're getting more information, though, coming out of this. And now, originally we had Paige on her Twitter saying it was a fan who threw a drink in Patron's face. Well, now she's coming out and saying it's her. I guess, one lie, she can build on another one, maybe. I don't know. Right. Okay, let's just throw things on Twitter. But yeah, she said basically it was her. She was upset after she had heard some bad news about her uncle. I don't know what that is, but, there were some people saying that maybe it was because, Patron said that, he wished her uncle would die. Which that is a pretty serious thing. If someone said that to me, I'd be pretty upset myself. But, once again, allegations, who knows? But there's also some word out there that she says that she is the only one under investigation. And then there's a whole other group saying that only a Patron is under investigation for all this. And we've also got some word that Patron has been suspended from GFW. Because, of all these announcements. So, boy, Paul, this just seems to get uglier and uglier.
For Paige, it really just seems like throw enough lies out there until this all goes away and they could try to fix this behind closed doors. The audio makes it seem like she was the one abusing Alberto, so I could believe that it was her that threw the water or the glass or whatever at Patron, but there are a lot of her family has come out to say that he beats her. This is just really, really messy. A lot of people have said that it's just Patron under investigation. He's the only one on the list at the police station where this is at. So I don't know, but it's just. How many lies can you throw at this before you realize that it's not going to go away this time? I feel like, people are involved now. You have the authorities, fans, dirt sheets, everybody is after this now.
Yeah. And look, I get it. You want to keep it private and you want to keep yourself away from all the peering eyes into your relationship and your personal problems. But when you're out in public and you're doing stuff like this, and not only that, you're already a public figure, I'm sorry, it's going to get out. And people are going to know what your life is like if you're especially having a fight out in the biggest public place you can do it, an airport. Mm-hmm. Boy, but not only that, getting on Twitter and blatantly lying, and then the audio we heard, wow. It was pretty intense, and you heard her saying she, wanted to get away from him, and if it got her away from him, that's totally cool, and all this kind of stuff, and, either way, it doesn't speak very good for them, even if what she's saying is true. Mm-hmm. If El Patron's sitting there saying he wished her uncle would die and things like that, wow, that's a terrible thing to say to somebody, and Absolutely. That does not put him in any better light. Now, the biggest thing here is something we can't prove, we have no idea, and that's the physical part, right? Did someone actually lay hands on the other? Throwing a drink in somebody's face, yes, it's a form of abuse, but it's not physical to the point where I understand that you should be maybe locked up for it. Mm-hmm. I think there's more to this, and I don't think we're ever really going to get the real true story unless the police themselves come out and say this is exactly what happened. We have all the proof. That's the only way you're going to find that out. And I don't even know if the police care enough to do that, right? I think the police are just going to, it's a dispute. Let's move this along, get it out of the way, and they have bigger fish to fry in Orlando than worrying about Patron and Paige. So who knows what's going to happen here. I just know, Paul, it's definitely affecting Patron and his career. Getting suspended by GFW, especially after being their champion, not good. Paige, still with WB, hanging by a thread. This is definitely not going to make her look any better in anybody's eyes.
Completely agree with you all the way around. There's lots of places reporting that they just they keep on breaking up and getting back together a few days later, stuff like that. Some other places are reporting that their friends are saying they've told them why everybody's making such a big deal about this. It's just unbelievable how incredibly messy this entire situation is. And El Patron, of course, GFW is counting on him to bring in Latino audiences. I think they're counting on him just to be that star power for them right now. And obviously they pre-tape, so a lot of the shows that you're going to be seeing in the next couple weeks, Patron's still going to be on them. And going forward from there is when they really, I guess, have to figure out how much this suspension is going to stick or not. And I mean, they got to be thinking that if they keep Patron around and they stay together, maybe Paige will come to GFW and work for them in their women's division. If her WWE deal does either get nixed or she doesn't resign or whatever, but this is not going anywhere fun, is all I know. Nobody's winning.
Exactly. And okay, let's just say let's put ourselves in the shoes of a guy like Jeff Jarrett, right? Where he's sitting there and he's thinking, man, these two are a lot of trouble, but I can get a superstar like Paige in my company. I can have her draw those people that miss her from WWE, and they can all show up and watch our product. But just by that instance, that's great. Here's the thing, though. All that baggage that she's bringing along is not going to go away. And not only that, it's going to grow, because as long as those two are together, it is going to compound, and it's probably going to affect your locker room eventually.
Right.
If not already. I have no idea, but I'm just saying. So I don't know, as much as you want to hold on to Patron to wait till you get that, early Christmas gift. I don't even know if it's really a Christmas gift. It's almost like a bad, cruel joke in a way, because it really makes me fearful that they get together on this promotion and they continue to fight, and things just I could see something bad happening. And if Jeff Jarrett's in that situation, I get it. He wants to keep her around to let her contract run out, but I don't know if it's a good thing.
I don't know if I would want to bring a relationship that is seemingly becoming notoriously toxic into a locker room and let that sort of poison start affecting everybody else in there, and just that just sounds awful, and I wouldn't want to be anywhere around that, especially if all of this is true, if only half of it's true, or even if only a quarter of it's true. Like, who wants to be around that at work? Nobody does. It's terrible, and I know everybody wants this relationship to end and all that, and if he's beating her, or if she's beating him, or if anybody's beating anybody, it's wrong, and you shouldn't don't do it. And bringing that around anybody at this point, it's terrible. It's terrible, and I feel bad for both of them, because obviously they're catching a bunch of flack, and it's he said, she said at this point, even though we know that some situations are happening and some aren't, and whatever. And if I'm Jeff, maybe you think about stripping Patron of the belt at this point and save yourself a headache. But how worth it is it to him, I think, is the question.
And trust me, I understand. There's dollar signs around both those two. There really is. I mean, but the problem is I think that their stock is going down. I don't know anybody that's super excited about seeing either of them. I mean, I think that Patron has built up an audience with the Latino crowd, and they should be. I mean, they should be very proud. I mean, he's done a lot of great things in the world of wrestling, and I mean, good Lord. I mean, sometimes you have to rest on those laurels of accomplishments, but it just seems like this is just not going in the right direction. And I think as long as those two are together, it's just going to be chaotic. And I think it would be in the best of their interest maybe to split up, and I have no say in that, and I don't care really. I mean, if they get married tomorrow and have 85 kids, it doesn't bother me, change my life at all. It's just a fact of, it seems right now, the proof in the pudding, it's toxic. Let's just stop. Let's just stop and move on, right? So who knows? This thing is probably going to get messier. We'll probably be on next Monday night show talking about this again, and there'll be some other news story and blah, blah, blah. So we won't hang around this on forever. I just think both of us are concerned. Hopefully things are better. Hopefully we're talking about good things, but we'll see. Let's mention something that's kind of interesting to me, but not something that's new news, but it's kind of, in a way, something that I thought would eventually happen after some of the news we had heard before. Kevin Kelly has officially finished with Ring of Honor. He is no longer going to be working over there, focusing on just New Japan, and that's great. He's got some other ventures, Paul, that he's really interested in doing, and I'm happy for the guy. It's kind of sad. I loved him over there in Ring of Honor, but I get it. He's got a new thing he wants to do, and I think he's happy.
Yeah, I think with the success of the G1 special, this was just, right around the corner. However quickly New Japan sets up their offices in LA and the dojo and getting tours off over here, I have to think Kevin Kelly is not only in line. I'm sure they might increase their English commentary shows over there on the New Japan World, but Kevin Kelly seems to be the feature announcer for that piece, for whatever they're going to do over here. And if JR doesn't re-sign with Axis, I have to think Kevin Kelly and Don Callis are going to have themselves a lot more work on their hands when if that deal does fall through on the announcing team on that side.
Yeah, and we already kind of touched on this, but with that whole G1 thing in America and some of the things that JR kind of flubbed on, kind of made a lot of fans angry, and a lot of fans were calling for, why didn't we have Kevin Kelly as our lead guy? Why was he not there? He's doing it for New Japan already. Why would you have a guy like JR? But, New Japan has a deal with Access TV. They've got to respect that. And, it was New Japan's idea to do it, so if you cry to somebody, it's New Japan. Don't cry to JR. So anyway, the thing is this is good for Kevin Kelly because it's something he's interested in doing. And if he does have other ventures, I'm sure, he's kind of worked his way out of Ring of Honor for a reason. So I think it's sad because I loved him in Ring of Honor, but they've got new guys over there, and I'm enjoying Cole Cabana over there. So it is what it is. That's the way things work in the world of wrestling. They always change. So. Let's talk about something that's really kind of interesting, and I think Ring of Honor may be even interested in this one. Championship Wrestling from Hollywood has got a good news coming for them in the fall. What has happened is their TV is expanding. That's right. The CW has them, and they are going to be expanding them to 110 different stations that will be a part of the CW Plus, and these affiliates will be basically all over America and just really, giving them better exposure to the national audience here, Paul. This is kind of interesting.
Yeah, 12.8 million homes is the reported number that they'll be in now, or at least with this deal. This isn't including their deal out in Los Angeles or in New York or in a couple other markets that they're in. Plus, they're on Fight TV and all this stuff. But Championship Wrestling from Hollywood's been around for 14 years, and now they're in homes across the country. And the CW Plus focuses on smaller markets. So areas like yours and mine, Gary, aren't getting this. There's noticeable lacks of big markets all over the place and stuff like that. But there's a big map of where you can find them now on their Twitter page, which is just really impressive for something that's really started out as a local, regional sort of deal out in Los Angeles. It's turning into sort of this, almost what Ring of Honor is, right? Maybe not owned by a big TV network, but this is a huge deal now. I think this is about half as many homes as what Ring of Honor reaches, which is still super impressive for a wrestling company, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. And, I've heard of them. I've, got some, background information on them before, and plenty of big names have gone through Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. So I think this is really cool, and it's a step in the right direction for them. And, they may not be doing what Sinclair can do, right, and get a promotion like Ring of Honor pretty much everywhere. But honestly, if they continue to grow, they could be. And we'll see. I just think it's great for them, and this really kind of took me aback, to be honest with you, because I didn't see this momentum coming. I really didn't. I just kind of saw this as coming out of just the air. So.
Yeah, same here. And the owner of the promotion also just became part owner for Combat Zone Wrestling. So,
wow.
This guy has got money, clearly.
Yeah. Hey, he's got it. He needs to share it with me. I'm just saying. But anyway.
If only.
Yeah, if only. But anyway, I'll say all sorts of great things about your company, I promise. No. But anyway. Let's talk about something else that's really kind of fun. AJ Styles became the United States champion this past week, and it came out of nowhere as well. This was out of thin air, winning it at the Garden in a live house show. And so basically, people were wondering, what's up with that? What's the secret? And a lot of people were rumoring things about Kevin Owens. Oh, he's injured, or there's something going on backstage, blah, blah, blah. No, honestly, all that was just rumors. What the true story about it is that AJ Styles has a new DVD coming out. And for them to end this thing on a bang, they needed a big moment, and that was the big moment to get them to where they wanted to get to finish out that DVD, which is really cool. His last world title win was 9 months ago. Mm-hmm. And it's a little dated, so I totally get it. This would be more recent, and this is something they could really showcase, all the big moments of AJ Styles' career in his short term with the WWE. So.
Mm-hmm. And they pulled their match from Battleground because it's not on their WWE.com anymore. So, interesting note there, too, as far as, booking going forward for SmackDown. But, I mean, it's kind of a lame reason, but you can't say AJ doesn't deserve it, right? I mean, one of the top guys in the company now. Big moment at the Garden where WWE has all this history that dates back to the 40s and maybe even further back than that. And absolutely just really, really cool for AJ. I think it's kind of cool, I think, for everybody involved in that whole thing. It's just really lame reason for something really neat to happen,
Yeah, exactly. And, it is kind of odd. And, for them to even pull the match from Battleground, you're thinking to yourself, wow, this is just, it seems a little out of place. Mm-hmm. But then again, I guess when you watch the DVD, you're going to appreciate it more. And I think, eventually the title picture it'll make its way around where it needs to be. So this is kind of when I look at it, it's like a hesitation, right? It's kind of like a little flub in the system, but it'll move on and we'll get past it and we'll forget all about it. But as much success as that AJ Styles DVD did when TNA released it, right? And to see so many people purchasing it, I think WB kind of saw that money sign and said, heck yeah, we're going to do our own. Why let, they make all the money off that. So AJ Styles is going to have something big coming up. And I'm really happy for him. And I think a lot of people will be really interested in that DVD. So if nothing else, that's great. Let's talk about something that's not so great. And for a guy that really kind of has some fan support, it seems he's not getting a lot of fan support where he works, and that's Enzo Amore. And it's kind of weird to say that because, when you see him on TV, he seems really lovable, a really cool guy. Fans seem to dig him pretty well. But apparently the guy has not been really dug by some of the guys in the locker room. They were, traveling around on the bus, and apparently he kind of caused some problems, and a lot of heat was put on him. Roman Reigns actually kicked him off the bus. And, of course, now we're hearing that he has actually got the Miz treatment and has been kicked out of the locker room, so he's no longer dressing with the guys. Wow. So this guy is really kind of going to the ringer when it comes to the locker room. And not only that, he has been known to be very upset about the split between him and Big Cass. Wow. I mean, it just seems like if one thing's not wrong, another thing is for this guy. And that's just a shame. I really wish we kind of could get more information on what really is causing this heat.
Yeah, like you said, it's all very vague, but I thought this was interesting just because he's been a big feature on Raw recently with this big split from Cass and everything, and a lot of people weren't a fan of keeping Enzo around originally before they even got called up, and he's still here because Triple H liked him and some other stuff like that. So there's just like a lot of politics around this guy right now, and it just reads like somebody who's really unhappy, who's unsure where his career is going, and sort of is in free fall and is just sort of lashing out. And the guys aren't going to put up with that, apparently. And I found it interesting that Roman Reigns is the one doing it, because you're used to older statesmen being the locker room leaders who do this, and maybe beating Undertaker meant more for Roman than we ever knew. Like, now it's not only an in-ring thing and story, it's backstage. He's the guy dealing out the justice.
Hey, yeah, that could be the case. I mean, really, honestly, beating Undertaker is a big deal, and maybe Undertaker kind of saying, hey, I'm giving this guy this, and I want him to take the torch from me. It's a big deal. Maybe. That's maybe possibly what happened there in the locker room, because we know all during the Attitude Era and whenever Undertaker was a part of the WWE roster, he was the big dog. He was the judge. He made things happen, and in fact, I love listening to Jim Ross's podcast or Stone Cold Steve Austin's podcast, guys that talk about what Undertaker would do. Like, people would threaten to not do things and say they weren't going to go outside and do things, and they weren't going to wrestle this guy or do this finish, and Taker would talk to him, and then all of a sudden that miraculously would change their mind. And they were cool with everything. And so I don't know if Roman Reigns is there yet, but I think, maybe that was passed to him. Who knows? Heck, maybe they just go by the numbers on your paycheck. Maybe that's what they go by. Your numbers are bigger this week than my paycheck, so okay, we listen to you. I don't know. But, needless to say, whoever's kicking this guy off the bus, there's a reason. And we know that he is from Jersey. We know he's a guy that probably is very honest. He probably doesn't cut any corners, and maybe that's what's causing some heat. I don't know. But, I know sometimes, which is actually kind of celebrated. I know my brother-in-law is from the North. There's a lot of people from the North, and from what I've heard, from my brother-in-law, different people says that, hey, we speak our mind. We say what we want. It's sorry, we didn't sugarcoat it for you. You guys, like me and Paul, are from the South. We're the kind of, bless your heart, we're so sorry. Hope everything's great with you, man. That kind of attitude, and we're always just kind of like, sugarcoating things a little bit, where sometimes, in the North, that the culture up there is a little different, and they kind of, just straight up tell you. So maybe that's what's going on here. I don't know. I'm speculating. But it's just amazing to me. I could see where this guy is going down a dark path, though, because I think he sees his career with WB, and losing Big Cass, it's really putting him in a state of limbo, because what he had going on was great. Now what he's got going on is just kind of, well, unless I can hold on to somebody else like Big Show, I don't know what I got going on. I don't fit 205 Live. I don't really fit in the mid card per se, because I'm so small. I definitely don't fit the the heavyweight championship level. What's going to happen to me? And I could see that being a problem. Maybe that's why he's doing all this. I don't know, but man, I just feel bad for Enzo. Just not great days for him right now.
Right. Yeah, I completely agree with you. It's just, like I said, it reads like somebody who's just sort of lashing out because there's nothing happening, and he might be afraid for his job now, and I don't know. It's just really kind of odd. Like you said, this is a guy that's kind of beloved by the audience right now, and getting rid of him doesn't seem like a terrific option.
Yeah. No, it's just what he needs to do is go butter up John Cena. Just, oh, John, you're so amazing. Everything you say is very true. Your wife is the best, and no one can beat her in the ring. Just say all that stuff. Butter up to John.
SmackDown? Can I do that?
Say, come on. I know they'll do something with me over there. At least I hope.
They won't let me dress in the red brand room. Can I dress in the blue one?
Yeah. That's true. That'd be funny if Miz says no. And hands him a bucket of chicken. Go sit in the corner. So, who knows? But anyway, well, we really do hope Enzo, things get better for him. Really do. But anyway, well, let's move on to one of the last things we're going to talk about here and quick hits. And this is something that I think is really cool. We've got the full list of participants for the Battle of Los Angeles that happens on September 1st to September 3rd for PWG. And this is something that's a big deal. It's really awesome. I think one of the best things that PWG does all year. And so this year's edition is going to include lots of different names. And Paul, why don't you go ahead and run down those names and kind of tell us about what's going to be happening here.
Yes, this is one of the marquee tournaments in independent wrestling. We usually talk about the tournament listing every year and then we announce the winner whenever it comes up on the show. So this is literally a who's who of independent wrestlers right now, not really signed to any of the big companies. Flamita from Dragon Gates here, Keith Lee, who's been making waves in Evolve, Walter from Germany, technically Westside Extreme. He's been doing a lot of work in Progress and all around England as well. Ray Phoenix, who of course is Phoenix on Lucha Underground. Desmond Xavier, who's currently in Impact Wrestling, or GFW. Donovan Dijak, former Ring of Honor star. Jeff Cobb, Matanza from Lucha Underground. Sorry to break kayfabe, guys, but huge star also across the U.S. Indies. Trevor Lee, another Impact wrestler. I think he's still the CWF Mid-Atlantic Heavyweight Champion right now. Flash Morgan Webster, big flippy guy from England. Progress, all those places over there. Zack Sabre Jr., duh. Sammy Guevara, who's really started to catch on, I think, in the wider independent scene, but he's somebody who got to start here in Texas, did a lot of work around Houston and Austin, and has started working Dallas a lot more often, too, now that the indie scene's picking up around here a little bit. But he's recently had stints in Evolve and Style Battle and all those places over there under the Flow Slam banner. Mark Haskins, who is a former Progress World Champion. Jonah Rock, who's somebody I am not very familiar with, but then you have Brian Cage, who's Cage on Lucha Underground. Ray Horace, who is Dragon Azteca Jr. on Lucha Underground, who's also done some work in Evolve as well. Marty Scroll, I don't know if I really should introduce him. Michael Elgin, TK Cooper, also from England. Matt Seidel, Sammy Callahan, Matt Riddle, Ricochet, Penta El Zero Miedo, who of course is Pentagon Jr., Pentagon Dark. Whatever AAA is letting himself call him this week. What a tournament, right? I just unbelievable star power, stacked top to bottom. Whatever you want to use, Bull is always great. You're going to get some great wrestling.
Yeah, you're exactly right, and I love a lot of these names. I'm a big Pentagon Dark fan. I just love him to death. Donovan Dijak's a guy that I want to see do very, very well. I really do. I kind of, missed him on Ring of Honor for a while now, and I hope he does well. Trevor Lee's another guy that you just expect big things from, too. So there's just so many great names. I mean, you could go on and on with these names, but in the end, though, I mean, I don't know. Any early predictions on a guy that you're really looking at thinking, man, it's awesome?
Boy,
Keith Lee?
I love Keith Lee. He's my heart favorite here to win this. A lot of PWG faithful are picking Jeff Cobb. I don't think you could really count out Mark Haskins, who I think made it to the final match last year, if I remember correctly. Zack Sabre Jr. is a former PWG World Champion. Matt Riddle, somebody else who I wouldn't count out in this either. But I'm leaning towards Keith Lee personally.
Yeah, and I don't blame you for that. One of the hottest stars in wrestling right now. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's so hard to pick against him. I mean, I don't know many guys you could. Michael Elgin's a guy that has done so well over in Japan. A guy that could be a winner here possibly. Marty Scroll, another great guy. So, I mean, there's just so many that I could sit here and name. But I would love to see a multitude of these guys take that home and say that they're the Bullet champion this year.
Yep.
So, but yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it for that. I mean, and of course, the rest of our news for this week. We have lots of interesting stuff to talk about and some things that I think we'll be definitely catching up on and, probably giving you more information as time goes on. So there you go for quick hits. We've got some other things to do on this show, though, Paul. We're going to be talking some Lucha Underground in a second here, and we're also going to be talking Impact Wrestling that happened this week. Plus, we're going to be crowning the Superstar of the Week later on. So we've got still a full show ahead of you guys. So we'll be right back, though. We're going to be heading into the Temple right after this.
Oh boy, what a week on Lucha this week. So we're in the second round of the Cueto Cup now. They open with Taya taking on Jeremiah Crane. Lots of great back and forth, a really fun sprint here. They get about 6.5 minutes. You have Sexy Star come out who distracts Taya, ends up leading to Jeremiah Crane getting the victory after a cranial contusion. I love this match, and then afterwards you have Star jump in the ring and lay out Taya with the brass knucks for some good old-fashioned revenge.
Wow. I mean, Grey's Anatomy couldn't do it any better. I'm just saying. I mean, the woman scorned. You learned your lesson, Taya. No, I mean, I'm just joking, but no, this is great. I mean, great match. I mean, Crane and Taya both very hard hitting. Oh man, it was just so much fun to watch. And there was plenty of times here where you thought Taya is done. She is. There's no way she's getting up from that. And next thing you know, pops up, goes crazy, and then you think, Crane, you're done. And just the back and forth was so fun to watch. Very happy to see that. Heck, I mean, honestly, as much as Sexy Star wanted to get involved, she still didn't, put things away completely. I mean, there's still a shot for Taya to win. But it just didn't work out that way. And, Crane got the 1, 2, 3. Good for him. He moves on. But it's interesting to see this feud, between Taya and Sexy Star and to see what they're going to do now. Are they going to have a brass knucks match or something like that later on? I don't know. But I could see some very intense matches coming in, our way with those two.
I'd be totally okay. Brass knucks on a pole? Let's do it. Somebody call Russo. Yeah.
Yeah. He'd be there in a second. Of course, he would throw in pudding.
Of course, yeah. We cut backstage to the workout area where Phoenix is. Aerostar shows up and says he's betting on Phoenix to win the entire tournament. They sort of talk about what's happening with Drago, and Phoenix wants to hope, he's hoping that Drago will eventually see the light and break away from the reptile tribe like he has in the past, and Aerostar isn't so sure. And they're leaning a lot on the fact that Aerostar is a time traveler here and knows what's going to happen. And Phoenix asks if Aerostar knows that he's going to win tonight. And Aerostar just sort of laughs and gives him this smirk and walks off. And I'm really interested in this, honestly. Is Aerostar a time traveler? We don't know. But the implication is certainly there.
Just say, don't ask if you're going to win the match. Just say, what's the lottery numbers?
Yeah.
Just tell me that. That's all I need. We're good after that. I don't care if I win, lose, or draw. Let's just get this done. So, no, I mean, that's really cool. I love that. There is that mystery of Aerostar, and what is he? And, can he really do what he says he can do? That's what's so much fun about this show. And, it wouldn't be unbelievable for him to be a time traveler.
Yeah, I mean, we already know he can spurt rockets from his feet, essentially, so...
Yeah, that's pretty impressive enough.
Yeah, exactly. After that little segment, we have Mil Muertes take on Paul London. This one gets a lot more time, maybe a little longer, because it's a little dippy in the middle, but London makes a strong fight of it. He has his Rabbit Tribe compatriots distract Mil for a little bit, but it's still not enough. Mil ends up kicking out of the Shooting Star Press. He kicks out of it twice, London argues with the ref. Mil hits the spear and the flatliner to put him away. Had to earn that one, did Mil Muertes, and that's kind of cool. Like, Paul London at least feels like he matters a lot more now out of this.
Yeah, he does, and he's goofy. I mean, and I think that's his stick, and of course,
that's his personality in real life too.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and the whole, they kind of gave you the drug aspect of it too, which is, true. So I mean, there's a lot involved there, but it was just fun. Paul London brings a personality to this match, and one guy's goofy, one guy's very serious, and the mixture here works out in the end. It went a little longer than I personally would have cared, to be honest with you. I mean, it was fine, but I just think at times it kind of drug it on, and they could have ended it just a little bit earlier. But in the end, you get Mil winning, and I think that's the right way to go, and I have no problem with that. So.
Nor do I, and I feel like these matches are just going to get longer the deeper we get in the tournament, because obviously they want the people who are moving on to feel like they earned it, and I feel like especially once we get to the finals, like, not assuming we get anything crazy over the top, gimmicky or storyline involved, but for sure could be something that goes easily 20 minutes by the end of this, for sure. And then we cut to a bar somewhere where Tejano is drinking. Brenda runs into him, sort of hits on him a little bit. They have some whiskey. Brenda sort of talks about how she gets a little bit more truthful as she gets tipsy and says that Tejano's just boring. You're this sort of, you're a blue-collar brawler and all this other stuff, but that's not really doing anything for anybody. Tejano gets upset. He breaks a bottle in his hands, says he's not dull or boring. She's not wrong, Tejano, honestly. And Brenda just says, you know what, you need a woman's touch. And Famous B sort of watching and giving this big smile in the background, which is sinister in its own way. But I kind of like Tejano, somebody I think Lucha Underground really wants to do something with. And he hasn't really been all that entertaining the entire time he's been here, but he's a good wrestler.
Yeah, and he needs something. He really does. And this is something that kind of makes him look a little stronger. It kind of gives him that personality that he may be lacking in the fact that he's a tough guy. I mean, and he's kind of showing that. And overall, I mean, they've got a lot of work to do still with him. I'm not saying this solves the problem, but at least this does give him a little bit of personality. This segment, though, this video, what do you want to call it? This part of the show, I started to question myself if I was watching Lucha Underground and I had accidentally flipped over to Cinemax. I didn't know. I was a little confused for a minute there. And I said, this is getting pretty hot and heavy. And I started to think to myself, ooh, man. But that's okay. It got the point across, and I'm totally okay if they want to do about 6, 7, 8 more of these. That was pretty intense, Paul. I was kind of very happy with it.
Yeah,
in multiple ways.
Yeah, I mean, the way they film this, there's a large focus on Brenda's lips and middle parts, and not a whole lot of faces shown as far when it comes to Brenda. So,
yeah,
you're spot on there, buddy.
This is the part where it gets a little iffy, but then they do move on to something else, and so you get this was kind of like your hot match, and then they get to the cool down match later.
Although I don't know if I really call this main event a cool down, as Phoenix takes on Marty the Marth Martinez, who of course has Mariposa in his corner. And in case you've forgotten, Phoenix has a little bit of a deal going on with Melissa here, where they seem to be into each other. Marty, of course, has been creeping on Melissa since he was introduced, almost, back in Season 2. So this has really sort of been the long game, and Marty realizes that they have a thing. They really focus a lot on that Melissa-Phoenix relationship down the stretch, and so much so that when Mariposa goes to jump in, Melissa stops her. Phoenix ends up fighting out of it and hits rolls Marty up, in a European clutch for the victory. And Marty sort of snaps at the end, pulls out this lunchbox he brought with him, and pulls out a bunch of food before he grabs a fork. And starts ripping away at Phoenix's head. He ripped his mask earlier in the match, I should have mentioned. And Mariposa sort of holds Melissa's face up and makes her watch from outside. And it's pretty... This is brutal, for sure, because they show a lot of the fork stabbing into Phoenix's head, and you can actually see it go into the skin a couple of times. And it's not a pretty picture the whole way around, but it really does, I think, do a good job of getting you invested and what's going on here, especially if you've forgotten.
Yeah, you're right, and this is really compelling. And what's crazy here, too, is I love the crowd's reaction. I think they were chanting "creepy wrestler," I think.
Creepy bastard.
Okay, that's all right. I really couldn't make out all of it. But yeah, and that's truth. It really is. And just his face, and the way that they did the lighting, I mean, all of it just was so perfect to make you just think, oh, God, this is it's another level. Mm-hmm. And, yes, it's a fork from the lunchbox, but still it's threatening, it's violent, and it's kind of something that makes you feel uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. So I think all that really adds to the story. I mean, the match before was fun to watch. I mean, it was really good, and I was kidding about cooling down. It was stayed pretty hot this entire time, and I think that the end part here really kind of gives you more reason to care about what's going on here between these people, because that story that they kind of touched on before, it just got amped up.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I couldn't agree with you more. And this is something to keep an eye on going forward for sure. And they've done a good job, I think, with the Cueto Cup, at least reestablishing everything you might have forgotten during the midseason break. So kudos to them for that. But that's Lucha Underground for the week, and next week you're going to have 3 more second-round matches to look forward to.
Yeah, so really excited about that, and we'll have more great content coming from Lucha Underground then. Mm-hmm. Now, we are going to head over and talk some Impact Wrestling. So let's find out what happens with your GFW champion, Alberto El Patron, as he talks to LAX about what happened the previous week, and we'll do that now.
Yeah, right now, because I still don't have the theme for this show yet. So
okay.
So I haven't watched a ton of this episode, so let's just talk about what we liked. And for me, a big part of the episode is the X Division stuff, and even then, it's not a huge chunk, but you get another Super X Cup tournament match here with ACH taking on Andrew Everett, which ACH wins. I think this is one of the better matches I've seen all week on TV for sure. Great back and forth. Another little sprint here where you get to see both guys, I think, at their finest, and that's doing flippies for sure. And you also have Trevor Lee, quote-unquote, defending the X Division title against William Weeks, which is just a squash. And they're really going full bore with this title steal thing, which I love. It's such a nice little old-school thing. And Dutt's all angry backstage and tries to attack Lee after the match, but Lee manages to escape with the championship in tow. I enjoyed this all the way around, personally. I thought this was great stuff for the X Division this week.
Yeah, they did a pretty good job. And, what's kind of funny with the Trevor Lee stuff is he does, do something you don't see a lot, and that's keep the title around your waist and during the match. And, it only makes sense because he wasn't facing anybody he really had to worry about, and that's okay. But really the intensity did come from, oh my God, blanking on his name already.
Sanjay?
Sanjay, thank you, Dutt. Right, Sanjay Dutt, thank you.
Yeah.
And that, it's kind of fun. It also kind of showcases the fact that, there is a reason he's worried about the belt, and that is Sanjay Dutt. So it's good, and it keeps you interested in what that feud's all about. The other thing, though, with the X Division is this match that we had here between ACH and Andrew Everett, and I think this was, like you said, a great back and forth. ACH didn't really get a lot going at the beginning of this. So usually Andrew Everett was kind of controlling some of the beginning of this, but by the end of it, ACH kind of pulled it out and, started showcasing his talent and showcasing what he's all about and winning the match, which I kind of was a little surprised. I think, ACH needs a little love here, especially, being new to the promotion. But I was a little surprised because Andrew Everett has been a big part of that X Division, and he's really kind of been right there in the X Division hunt, the title hunt. So a little surprised to see him lose, but hey, that's good for ACH. He's beating a guy that is one of the top guys.
Completely agree with you all the way around on all that. And this Super X Cup's actually making you want to watch the X Division again, which I'm super happy about, because this is something that that TNA was built on. It's something that looks like GFW wants to keep in the limelight once again, and I'm all for that for sure.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny. I listened to Cole Cabana's show from this past week, and he was interviewing DJ Zima Ion, whatever they're calling him now. But, he kind of expressed his fear a little bit, I think, and he said that they're continuing to add new talent to the X Division all the time. And he's got to come in, and he's going to come in ready, hot and heavy, and with a new gimmick, because if he doesn't, he's going to get left behind, and that's very much the truth.
Yeah.
They are really focusing back on that X Division.
Absolutely. Well, I guess we'll go ahead and talk about this main story going on throughout the evening. I particularly didn't care for a lot of this. LAX opens the show. They announce Patron is the new member like they did last week. Patron says he's not. You have Lashley come out and beat them all up, and this leads to a tag team match between LAX and Lashley and Patron teaming up. And Patron and Lashley end up beating LAX. This is the first time LAX has lost in GFW. I absolutely despise that choice. I really would have loved for Lashley to just either leave Alberto high and dry saying he's had enough revenge or all that, but it just reeks of bad booking to me.
Here's my problem with it, okay? I understand why Lashley comes out in the beginning to kind of help Patron. It's because, well, maybe he has some respect for Patron. Maybe, he says all those bad things to Patron, his dad, and his brother, and all this stuff. But the truth is, he really does respect Patron, which I'm okay with that. But here's the thing. He's been such a selfish guy for so long, and for him to stick around in an entire main event and get beat down at times and be, kind of put in a bad light, he's supposed to be a heel still, so I'm just like you. I think he should have left earlier in the match, leaving Patron, that causing them to lose. But no, they did that spot when they had already won, they're beating up Patron at the end of the match after winning, and then, Lashley's like, oh, all of a sudden out of nowhere, you know what? I cared, now I don't. I'm going to walk away. That's ignorance. And I didn't like that. Not happy with that. Not only that, LAX has been really dominant, and I don't need two of the biggest names in GFW to beat them. I need LAX to continue doing great things, to continue being one of the reasons why I tune in to Impact Wrestling. But, I don't know if they know what they want right now. And it proved to me when they had, Patron and Lashley tag up. That was a kind of proof in the pudding.
Completely agree with you all the way around. And that's something I've lost a lot of interest in. Something I don't know if anybody had any interest in is they had some of the minis from AAA show up, and Octagoncito and Demas wrestle for about 4 minutes or so. This match isn't bad or anything, but there's no investment here. There's nothing that's really going to tie you to any of this. It's just here to make AAA happy, I guess, but 5 minutes of wasted TV, if you ask me.
Let's have a Wee Man match. Yay! Yeah. It's fun. It's something different, and WWE doesn't do it, right? And that's great. That's you're making yourself different, and I have no problem with that. Here's my problem. You're not going to get this on a consistent basis. And this is something so different that the next time they introduce it, it's going to be something that's just new. It's not going to be the thing they continue to do over and over again. And I love the idea that they are going to be international and they're going to bring all these new talents and all these new names and blah, blah, blah to Impact Wrestling, just like they did in this. Great. Here's the bad thing. Like you said, Paul, no investment. So if I have no investment, am I going to continue to see this week in, week out guys I don't care about just watching a match just because it's there? That does nobody any good. I just hope this is not something they continue on.
I agree with you entirely. I'm all for bringing in people. Just make us care about them. And if you're going to build a mini division or if you're just going to have them show up, at least hype it somewhat and be like, this is kind of a big deal. These guys have never wrestled here before, and maybe we're going to do a division, maybe we're not, who knows? And just give me something to chew into other than, here they are, here's a match, oh, they're done, okay, bye.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Yeah.
Save that stuff for live events.
Yeah,
Save that stuff for house shows, because that's what a house show is about, going and just having fun, not having to pay attention to storylines, just getting to watch wrestling. Right. You're watching a show. There's a reason why it's sports entertainment. Entertain me somewhere in between.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I guess speaking of entertaining, we'll talk about this because I actually kind of found parts of this funny. Grado and Joseph Park are running around the Impact Zone because Grado is in danger of being deported, so they need to find him a wife. So they go through the knockouts. And there's some shady characters in the knockouts division.
Yeah.
And Grado tries really hard throughout the show. Finally, he lands on Laurel Van Ness backstage, who he says he believes is the most beautiful creature he's ever seen. Laurel reacts perfectly throughout the whole thing because obviously she's still the messy bride thing that doesn't really have a lot of purpose anymore now that most of those people that were in that angle are gone. But Grado is close to asking her out, and before Laurel can really give him an answer, Congo Kong shows up and just sort of runs him off because he's so massive. I actually didn't mind this as a nice little aside from everything else you have going on in the show.
Yeah, they always have to have some kind of I'm trying to think of how to call it. Some kind of goofy video package, goofy story, and that's okay. That's actually something that's quality. I'm happy with that. I have no problem with it. And Joseph Park does a great job being the lead guy involved. No problem at all. Very happy. I think the interesting choice of Laurel Vanessa is also spot on. Because, she's the one that's jaded and everybody else has got their own thing going, but she's the one I could totally see with Grado just because she's gone crazy. And now she's feeling love from somebody when she hasn't felt that love in forever. So that's so cool to see that they actually kind of made something happen out of something that I just did not care about. But let's see. They got to get a little further. They got to do a little bit more. I didn't really care for the Congo Kong thing showing up, but then again, I get it and understand, hey, he's trying to protect his investment because he's been tied to Laurel Vanessa for a little while now. So, and not only that, he needs to let everybody know if that's supposed to be his girlfriend. He hasn't even told us. So,
yeah, has Congo even talked since he showed up?
No, he hasn't talked at all.
I don't think he has.
No one's even told us outside of him though, because. Whatever her name, I'm trying to think of her name right now. Sienna has not even said anything either.
Yeah.
About that.
Yeah, it's just sort of their monstrous muscle walking around. Laurel does have a match that she wins in about 3.5 minutes against Ava Story. Not really anything all of that important going on there, so we won't talk about that all that much. Not a lot else I'm really invested in this show either. Gail Kim gives her retirement speech that we talked about, I think, last week on the show. She wants to go out on top, and she wants to sort of make sure that this last hurrah that she's going to give is the best work of her career and all that. It's good. I mean, it's not anything to make you go rah, get behind Gail Kim, but it's another big name, and I think the Knockouts division could use the boost.
Yeah, I think you're right. And, it's kind of neat that they kind of had this go on because of the fact that Gail Kim's been a big part of Impact Wrestling. And for her to announce her retirement this way, it's very classy. And, at least they gave it some time to allow her to say the things that she wanted to say. So I have no problems against it. And for her to kind of have some motivation and hopefully have something to give and motivate other people.
Yeah. I guess what we have left is the garbage part of the shows I really don't want to talk about. Chris Adonis has some interactions with Pop TV's Swole Mates, which is some show I guess they have on there. It's completely awful. You have Eli Drake show up. They have an argument. That's it. It's total waste of time, if you ask me.
Come on, Paul. Come on. You didn't like seeing the Swole Mates? I mean,
No.
You've already got that set on what you're going to watch this next week. You can't wait.
You've
come
been
on,
my
Paul.
DVR again, Gary?
No, yeah, sorry. I knew you'd been working out, brah. You're completely right. Waste of time. Silly, stupid. You knew there was nothing going to happen. That's the thing that bugs me about this crud. You knew nothing was going to take place. You don't even pretend like they were actually going to get into a physical altercation. Come on.
Yeah, for sure. EC3 comes out to watch the Impact Grand Championship match that Moose is going to have against Naomichi Marufuji. I really wanted to like this. I love Marufuji. I like Moose. The match structure does nobody any good here. It's just there. EC3 ends up running in and attacking Marufuji in the third round to force a DQ, so nobody really loses anything here. But this was just a really, really boring 10 minutes of television that I don't know if I'm all that invested in this, and I'm really surprised. I'll be surprised if this championship sticks around after all the new belts are introduced and everything like that.
I hope your surprise is to my surprise and very much my happiness. I really want to see that title gone. I cannot stand it. It bores me. There's nothing I could say that really is positive about the Grand Championship belt. I just don't care about it. And, everything they had going on here, I get it, and you're going to have that feud between Moose and EC3, and, that's fine. No big deal. I'm okay with it, but that that whole thing with a grand championship is just so boring.
Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe this might lead to Moose trying to like cash it in or something, or they're going to do a unification with the GFW title or something like that. But there's nobody in the company I feel like can work the formula successfully anymore. And that's even including Davey Richards, just because I don't think this is really where they want him, and I don't know if they have anybody that they really want around with this championship. So I say scrap it. It was an idea from a previous regime. It doesn't really seem like something that's going to fit in with the GFW scheme of things. And if they don't want to scrap the title, then maybe just turn it into like a TV championship or something. It still has the TV title or the TV show's name in the title, so...
Yeah, exactly. And not only that, if you're going to have some kind of gimmick attached to it and something that's going to be just different than a regular title shot, I mean, make it a 2 out of 3 falls and not make it a time limit or something. I don't know. I'm just not in favor of it. I just don't care about it. And it needs to have a new look and be completely redone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think maybe like a time limit specification, like 15 minutes, something that makes this geared for TV would really work. And I think it's something that a lot of your talent could work very well to in trying to tell the story by, not, like, you're still having to worry about timing now. It's just in one large chunk, and you're not breaking up the flow, which I feel like, especially guys like Moose, who I feel like really thrive on momentum, you're throwing so many of them off, and let's just put it to bed. Just put the rounds to bed. You had guys who could use this at one point. You don't anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yep. There you go.
That pretty much covers everything on Impact this week. This was good in some parts and really lackluster in others. And if that's not the summification of Impact Wrestling for the past couple of years, I don't know what is.
Yeah, that's so much the truth. And, you know, I want to like a lot of the things that Impact's doing, and I'm glad that they're changing, and GFW is going to be, a new beginning for them, but they've got to still overcome some of the bad decisions when it comes to booking and other things involved. So let's just hope that continues to be something that's not the truth about them and where they grow instead of kind of devolve. Mm-hmm. So. But yeah, that is all of what we're going to be talking about with GFW's Impact. So we're going to move on and do one last thing tonight, guys, and that is crown a Superstar of the Week. Wow, some names coming out of this I was excited to see. We'll be right back right after this.
Superstar of the Week.
Songs keep stopping on me. Go ahead, Gary.
All right, let's go ahead and get this knocked out really quickly here. So we got our number one person out of this whole thing that we're going to be talking about, and that, of course, is going to be your United States champion, AJ Styles.
Yeah, AJ wins the championship at a house show of all places at the Garden on Thursday. We didn't know about it till the next day, obviously, but still really, really cool. Happy for AJ, and we'll have to see what this is going to do to SmackDown going forward.
Yeah, for sure. And just, we definitely had to give him some love. The problem was we didn't get a chance to see the match, right?
Yeah.
It was in Madison Square Garden. I don't live there. Paul doesn't live there.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Almost as far as ways you can get from us, really.
Yeah. So, sorry, folks. If it was a 5-star, just amazing match, I'm sorry we didn't see it. So, But he got the point from us. So there you go. We, of course, have to give 2 points to Alexa Bliss for her, big win.
What a fun match they had at Great Balls of Fire, Alexa and Sasha Banks. And while Alexa technically loses because of countout, she's still the champion, continues to be a great worker on Raw. I don't know about you. I really enjoyed the match. I also really enjoyed not having to worry about them making history, Gary. Like, it might be the first pay-per-view in forever we didn't have to worry about the women making history.
Yeah, exactly. And isn't it nice not have to sit there and focus on that and that be the biggest thing out of everything? I was so happy with that. So there you go. I mean, it's nice to get great wrestling out of them, but not be like, oh, it's historic.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. Well, we got 3 points. Moving on over to Cesaro and Sheamus.
Yeah, The Bar, a fantastic match with the Hardys at Great Balls of Fire. What a really, really fun Iron Man match. that struggled in some places and really thrived, especially near the end and in other parts as well. And they walk away with the championship still. Really surprising me and a lot of other people, I feel like. But still, these guys are great wrestlers. They're great as a team. I don't have a problem with it other than that there's nobody else for him to fight. You broke up your last face team on Raw.
Yeah, that is the problem, huh? And so, I mean, it's still great, though, to see these two guys continue to get better, to continue to showcase that, hey, we may not be, the flashiest or maybe even the best of all time, but we are doing our job and we're doing it great. So I was very excited to see they had a pretty awesome match with the Hardys. Good stuff. And that's why they got some points. 4 points are going to be earned by a man named Braun Strowman.
Yeah, Strowman technically didn't win the match at Great Balls of Fire, but I feel like was maybe the stronger performer out of the well, he did win the match at Great Balls of Fire, excuse me. He sidestepped that spear. But he almost died and managed to walk away from Roman Reigns' murder attempt. So 4 points well-deserved for this guy, who may be a face after Sunday. I still don't know, Gary.
Oof, man. I don't know where, they're going to go from here, at least with, deciding if he's coming back or they're going to give him some time off. But, needless to say, the guy is amazing. And, I'm kind of curious, though, because he is so awesome. I want to see him back sooner than later.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then from there, we got to get 5 points over to someone who is going to be crowned our superstar of the week. And that person is none other than Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, I mean, what a title defense at Great Balls of Fire. Short, quick, and to the point, and Joe looked great and all that, too, and Brock somehow still manages to walk away from the Destroyer with the championship, and may have more challengers on his hands than he realizes come next week, but we'll just have to figure out what SummerSlam has in store for the Beast.
Yeah, for sure, and it's going to be awesome. I'm really looking forward to what he's got coming from, this whole scenario and how it's all going to shake out.
Yeah.
But yeah, there you go. Brock Lesnar, you are our superstar of the week. And of course, many, other great things hopefully in store for him. And of course, a lot of these other talents that we've been talking about tonight. We, of course, want to let you guys know, make sure you go check out all the other great content that we have to offer. If you maybe don't know everything and maybe you want to go check out some other stuff and you just don't know how to get it, go to W2Mnet.com. Of course, you can find Wrestling to the Max there, plus lots of other great wrestling shows. But, you just don't know maybe where to find us all the time. Maybe you want to subscribe. Make sure you go to Wrestling to the Mic, subscribe, rate, and review. Also, W2M Network is a place to also do the same, and that's what's going to get you from not just us, but it's going to get you all those other wrestling podcasts, plus a lot more other great podcasts like soccer, football, video games, entertainment. I mean, my goodness, it's everything under the sun over there at W2Mnet.com, and the W2M Network is going to give you all that in podcast form. You don't want to miss a minute of the action, as well as, from WomanMania.com, our partnership with them. We appreciate those guys over there, always getting our content out there, and just a super awesome website to go check out, and great reviews as well to read. But yeah, I mean, besides that, YouTube channel, go subscribe to Wrestling to the Max there. Facebook group, Wrestling to the Max. Go ahead and join the group if you haven't already. I think all that's pretty much all the plugs that we're going to give you guys tonight. Once again, join us next week for some more great wrestling action. I am so excited about next week. I hope you are too. Until next time, guys, I am Gary Vaughan. He is Paul Leazar, and we will see you guys down the road.
Have a good one, guys.
The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.